So this converted Victorian top floor flat had been owner occupied. It's now rented. There is mould and condensation forming in the chimney breast in particular, but elsewhere in the flat. The issue with chimney breasts is that they're made from a single skin of bricks. And when in use as chimneys, that isn't a problem because you want to lose heat to the inside, clearly. But when opened up, it means there's a single skin of bricks compared to a normal wall, which is two skins. So it has half the insulating capacity and therefore loses twice as much energy. That's why you're getting condensation. Condensation is caused by high relative humidity. Relative humidity is a function of both the amount of vapor, and we'll look at that shortly, but also the temperature. When you get to 100% relative humidity, condensation forms. When you get to 85% relative humidity for a prolonged period, then mould is at risk.
So it's basically all mould. This brown section here is mould. When I saw the photos, I wondered whether that was penetrating damp. There is a bit of this brown here, which looks like that could be penetrating damp, but it's actually a good chance that it's interstitial condensation forming within the. Essentially the issue is it's the chimney breast, and you're almost certainly going to get very poor insulation around it. So I'm going to do a thermal image, and I can show you.
Here I'm testing for dampness using a radio frequency damp meter. I recommend anyone buy them. They're very inexpensive, about £23 for a good quality one, and it's useful to determine if a wall's drying out, and perhaps logging it weekly or monthly. You can test and you can see improvements over a period of about 6 to 9 months. Here are some thermal images. You can see the heat loss in the corner in particular. Corners are more vulnerable because you've got extra surface area on the outside. Once a wall becomes damp, it's a poor insulator, so it becomes self-perpetuating. I'm looking around the rest of the property. You'll see different zones. The colours will change. It's a relative function, so they're not always going to be a consistent colour pattern for a particular temperature.
I'm going to give you 5 hacks to help reduce your dew point. So the thing you want to look for is the dew point on the data loggers, and you want to try and get that down to the dew point to the temperature of the outside. The importance of that is in every property there's going to be a cold zone that's going to get close to the outside temperature, and if you've got the dew point as low as that, then you certainly reduce the chance of condensation and mould.
Okay.
So the hacks are: bathroom, keep the door closed after a shower, window open, and I'm going to give some additional recommendations there, until it's dry, and then you can open the door. Kitchen, cook with tops on pots and pans, and you can reduce the flame, so it's still boiling, but you won't need as much heat to boil it if the top's on. You can reduce vapor production by 80% by doing that. Drying clothes, I mentioned using a dehumidifier. You're opening the windows at the moment, but you're also losing a lot of heat that way. So respiration is harder, but again I would use a dehumidifier. You've got a little bit of airflow anyway. And then insulation. Now I'm going to be making some recommendations on insulation. I get that, and it's a challenge, but one of the recommendations I will be making is to remove the mould, and we're going to be dropping the humidity, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I also make recommendations. I mean, with tenanted properties, it's invariably a combination. It's teamwork, and it needs both willing landlords and willing tenants, because a tenant can make even the best property mouldy, and a landlord that's not doing the right things can also create mould. So it's teamwork. I'll have a look outside at the. Oh God, this thing's going.
Yeah.
Right. Oh well.
So I'm having a look around the outside of the chimney breast to see if there are any telltale signs, cracks or damage to tiles, guttering issues. I understand that guttering was overflowing, but it looks relatively new now. The flashing seems to be in good order. The flaunching, that's the top of the chimney, is fine. So are the chimney pots. It looks like quite a lot of money has been spent on the chimney, presumably thinking that was where the root cause was. So I don't see any reason for penetrating damp. It's all coming from condensation. So there is some brown staining next to the cooker, and typically brown staining is caused by water passing through building material, but it can be caused by what's called interstitial condensation, which is where condensation is forming within the void, normally from vapor from below, saturated vapor from below, coming into contact with an area of heat loss, which is what I think is happening here. Now I'm looking in the loft and I see there is condensation in the loft area. There's a lot of mould up there. There's condensation underneath the skylight. And what happens is that if there's excess vapor in the living area below, the heat and will push the vapor up into the loft, and it's cold in the loft because to some degree it's insulated from the rest of the building, and it can cause what's called interstitial condensation, which is what I think is causing the brown staining around the cooker hood. Problem with the cooker hood is it's not ducted out. There is some ducting from the bathroom, but it doesn't seem to be active because I couldn't see a vent in the bathroom. That's something else that I shall mention in the recommendations.